On September 1, 2013, Ashraf residents were attacked at 5:15 a.m. by an elite group of Malaki's Golden Division, known as the Dirty Division. Seven were taken hostage, and millions of dollars of the residents' property were destroyed in over 200 bombings. Camp Ashraf since 2009 has been encircled by rings after rings of Iraqi military and security forces. Currently, a Rapid Deployment Force RDF battalion of the Diyala Police is stationed nearby, placing the camp under a siege consisting of 2 rings of military formations. Also, the 19th Brigade of the Diyala 5th Division is stationed inside the former U.S. Forces FOB Grizzly, only a kilometer north of the residence compound and the scene of the September 1st attack. The yellow arrow shows the exact location where the 7 hostages were held after the attackers exited Ashraf following the assault. This location is adjacent to the Army headquarters. More than 100 Iraqi security forces at the scene were organized into several teams tasked to simultaneously carry out the shootings and executions, sabotage and explosions, and abducting the defenseless residents. All dressed in green shirts with black-colored vests and pants, white caps, and also black masks, equipped with identical pistols and AK-47 assault rifles with silencers, standard of Iraq's Interior Ministry units as shown in their official publications. They also carried factory-made plastic explosives manufactured in 2006, various types of hand grenades used to bomb vehicles, containers, water tankers, and room doors. Eyewitnesses of the attack saw these forces passing through the RDF watchpost all along the berm to commence the raid on the residential quarters. Testimony by Mr. Tahir Boumedra. The reality about Camp Ashraf is sealed. Nobody could penetrate Camp Ashraf without the active participation of the Iraqi security forces. Reuters. 2 Iraqi security sources said Army and Special Forces had opened fire on residents. CNN. 2 officials with Iraq's Interior Ministry told CNN that security forces raided Camp Ashraf. The New York Times. Iraq's security forces, trained by the American government at a cost of billions of dollars, were sharply rebuked by the United Nations on Tuesday for a deadly raid on Sunday at Camp Ashraf. Preliminary phase. Iraqis wearing civilian attire, carrying out a reconnaissance mission on residential quarters. Scenes are recorded by residents' cameras at watchposts. They traveled all along the berm parallel to Street 100, stopping at some of the RDF posts for more detailed assessments. At some of these locations, they covered their faces to avoid being identified by the residents. 5 a.m. Iraqi security forces approached the residential quarters from 10 axes through the camp's northern sector, occupied by Iraqi army and police. 5:15 a.m. With a single sound of a gunshot, these units passed the watchpost along the berm and advanced on Street 100. These units separated after entering the residential quarters, each having its own special mission based on buildings and targets. At 5:25 a.m., Iraqi security forces attacked the residence watchpost at Tulip Square and shot dead Bijan Mirzai. Mirzai, as reported by the witnesses, was murdered at around 5:15 to 5:30 a.m. while he was only a few meters away from an RDF watchpost at the gate. The aim was to clear the entrance gate for the retreat phase of the operation with vehicles carrying the hostages. The RDF guard at Tulip Square moved the RDF vehicle blocking the gate and set aside the barbed wires, clearing the passage for the retreating units. Retreat phase. Iraqi security forces used the same advance axes for their retreat, with the berm parallel to Street 100 blocking any vehicle movement north of the camp. The only outlet for them was the return through the main gate at Tulip Square. On their way, the ISF stole 2 vehicles, dividing hostages in 2 groups, and moved towards Tulip Square. After the raid, the remaining residents found a stolen truck and minibus parked near a building that had already been occupied by Iraqi forces during the April 8, 2011 attack.
I have the honor this evening of reading 3 important messages from the United States Senate. I first want to begin with the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Carl Levin. He writes, "The United States should persist in pressing the government of Iraq to live up to its obligations under the December 2011 agreement with the United Nations to ensure the safety and security of Camp Liberty."
My Iranian freedom fighters, tomorrow comes when freedom's flame will light the souls of all Iranians, and the barricade of oppression will come down, because we will not go away into the darkness of the night. We will not disappear without a fight. Our cause is right. Our motives are just. We will meet again soon, I hope, with you in a free and safe Iran.
Hello and greetings to all of you gathered today in Paris. I'd like to thank Mrs. Rajavi for the opportunity to speak to you today. I join you in solidarity in condemning the latest deadly rocket attack on Camp Liberty that killed 2 and wounded many more.
My friends, I am proud to have supported your brave resistance movement, and I will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with you as you advance the fight for an Iran that is finally liberated from tyranny, extremism, and repression.
And we stand here united as Americans, Republicans, and Democrats fighting for freedom with you, and we are never giving up. To all of you, Salome, and to my sister who has 2 children in the ill-fated Camp Liberty waiting to be freed, to the President-elect, to the freedom fighter, to a woman of greatness, and that is President-elect Miriam Rajavi.
Madam Rajavi, on behalf of the United States Congress, I want to give you this plate that is sealed in glass. And when Iran is free and you are the president, we will break this glass and break bread in Tehran together.
Madam President-elect, we have become sisters. The challenge of your great leadership is spreading around the world. And so I present to you a gold rim symbol of the United States Congress and our unity. And for your 2 children, this is a keychain, and you will place on it a key to their freedom, and they will be free. We honor you with this freedom.
Finally, to the residents of Liberty and Ashraf, continue to hang tough. The large gathering that we have here today from all over the world and the voices that you hear speaking today on your behalf, combined with Madam Rajavi's superb leadership, are indicators that help is on the way.
The United Nations, the U.S. government, and the Iraqi government have all agreed that the MEK must be protected. They must see that this is done.
Now is the time to support the resistance movement under Mrs. Rajani's leadership. That's what is needed.
Your slogan for this meeting is the correct one. Onward to freedom. The only way to move onward to freedom is to have a genuinely open election in which anyone could run, including Mrs. Rajavi.
The United Nations, the State Department, and we, the American friends of the MEK, we convinced the people of Ashraf to move to liberty. We told them that the UN and the US and the government of Iraq guaranteed their safety at liberty. Let the record show we misled them. We misled them. There's been no attempt to guarantee their safety. In fact, the opposite is true. The government of Iraq has prevented them from taking common sense safety measures, T-walls, protective armor, to protect themselves. And again, death has resulted.
We want to send a strong message to Khomeini that the international community will not be duped again. The era of your deception has expired.
Ms. Rajavi, dear friends, I'm proud to be here to tell you about Canada's actions in defense of freedom and democracy in Iran. I'm also here to tell you how we are standing up for the democratic rights of the PMOI MEK. Canada's parliamentarians have worked hard to draw international attention to the appalling conditions in Camp Ashraf and Camp Liberty.
But I'm going to ask you a question. You are represented by your brave president. Who speaks for free Iran? Who speaks for free Iran?
Support the democratic opposition in Iran, the MEK, and provide for the safety and security of the men and women at Liberty and Ashraf.
For 100 years, the school children of Iran will learn that the road to Iranian freedom led through Camp Ashraf and Camp Liberty.
The Ayatollah and the mullahs cannot ignore the force of the resurgence of the legitimate opposition. It's not going to go away. It's going to go onward to freedom, and it's going to go forward now.
Women in Iran, in Ashraf and Liberty, fight for the same rights as other women around the world. Health and education for their children, safety and security for their families and communities.
First, you must have a cause. There can be no better cause than freedom and liberty for the people in Iran. You need to have strong and capable leadership. I am convinced that you have that in Madame Rajavi.
And I think the reason I'm here today is because you stand for the same things we in America do, and that's freedom and dignity and honor. So I wish the best to you all. Thank you.
Imagine equal opportunity in political, economic, and social life. No wonder the Ayatollah fears you. Do we know someone who might offer that kind of real choice to the people of Iran? Yes, we do. Now, think about it. Madam President.
Just by being here today, you have defied Tehran with your hope for a brighter future for your country that will one day be led by Madam Rajavi.
I want you to say to the people of Camp Ashraf, help
is on the way. I want you to say to the world that you represent freedom for the people of Iran, and by telling them help is on the way.
Religious dictatorship ruling Iran does not, in fact, represent the Iranian people. And if you want to look at who does represent the Iranian people, look to those like Madame Rajavi, who, in fact, represent the aspirations of her people for freedom, for democracy, for freedom for women as well as men. And I want to send that message not just to those in this room, but throughout.
We want to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world. You're in the Situation Room.
The U.S. promised to protect them, but now 3,000 Iranian dissidents in Camp Liberty, Iraq, are in grave danger. Iraq's puppet government executed 52 unarmed dissidents and took 7 hostages at Camp Ashraf, a crime against humanity. American betrayal has now led to the murder of 112 refugees. President Obama, keep America's promise. Save the 7 hostages. Hold Iraq accountable.
Washington.
The U.S. promised to protect them, but now 3,000 Iranian dissidents in Camp Liberty, Iraq, are in grave danger. Iraq's puppet government executed 52 unarmed dissidents and took 7 hostages at Camp Ashraf, a crime against humanity. American betrayal has now led to the murder of 112 refugees. President Obama, keep America's promise. Save the 7 hostages. Hold Iraq accountable. The U.S. promised to protect them, but now 3,000 Iranian dissidents in Camp Liberty, Iraq, are in grave danger. Iraq's puppet government executed 52 unarmed dissidents and took 7 hostages at Camp Ashraf, a crime against humanity. American betrayal has now led to the murder of 112 refugees. President Obama, keep America's promise. Save the 7 hostages. Hold Iraq accountable.
We're going to walk together. We're going to stand together. We're going to sing together. We're going to stay together. We're going to moan together. We're going to groan together. And after a while, we'll say, freedom, freedom, freedom now.
Thank you very much. Let me just take a moment to say welcome to Capitol Hill. Welcome to this briefing. And I want you to know that when I first came to Washington many, many years ago to go on something called the Freedom Ride, I got arrested, beaten, jailed. Then I came back here again in 1963 with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and others and spoke on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. There were 10 of us as speakers. Dr. King spoke number 10, I spoke number 6, and out of the 10 people that spoke that day, I'm the only one still around. So I believe in standing up for what is right, for what is fair, for what is just. I believe in standing up for our freedom, and that all people must be free and must be liberated. I come here to say to you, never ever to give up, never ever to give in, never ever lose faith. Had a concussion on the bridge in Selma, in Montgomery, on the attempt to march from Selma to Montgomery on March 7, 1965. We didn't give up. And the people who support the people in Iran, and those of you who live and reside here in America and around the world must never, ever give up. Continue to press forward. Continue to press forward. For your brothers, for your sisters, for your uncles and aunts, for your mothers and father, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. And as long as people, the people of Iran, are denied their basic rights as human beings, people all over the world will deny our rights. And when I saw the recent uprising in Iran, it reminded me of some of the nonviolent struggle that we had here in America for the right to vote, the right to participate in the democratic process. So hang in there. I supported sanctions, and I will continue to do what I can to help bring to the attention of the world, and especially the citizens of America, the issues that are confronting the people of Iran. You will have supporters. You will have people that will stand up and fight the good fight with you. So hang in there. Keep pushing and keep pulling. Thank you very much.
One day. One day. One day. I have a dream. I got a dream. That one day. One day. One day. One day. I have a dream. I got a dream. That one day. We're going to march. We're going to walk together. We're going to stand together. We're going to sing together. We're going to stay together. We're going to moan together. We're going to groan together. And after a while, we'll just